Hi, I'm Matt Mowry, editor of Business New Hampshire magazine, and this is our B&H Spotlight. In the spotlight today is Carly Fiorina, presidential candidate and former executive at HP. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great to be with you, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. So for our small business readers out there, what will be the top 3 platforms that will assist them under your administration if elected?
Well, it starts with understanding that they are the job creators in this nation.
Mhm.
You know, small businesses and new businesses create 2/3 of the new jobs, and they employ half the people. I started out myself as a secretary in a small business, a 9-person business for me. And we're crushing small businesses. We're crushing small businesses with a tax code that has grown to 73,000 pages, absolutely crushing in its complexity. The rates are not competitive. But we're also crushing them with a thicket of regulation that has grown up over 50 years and that, frankly, Republicans have been talking about doing something about for 50 years, and we haven't done anything about it. And so I have rolled out in the last several weeks what I call my blueprint for taking our country back. That involves radically simplifying the tax code from 73,000 pages to 3, rolling back a whole set of regulations, starting with, but not stopping with, Obamacare, which is so difficult for small businesses. It also involves changing the way the government spends money, because a small business owner examines every dollar in their business. They can cut any dollar when necessary, and they can move any dollar. The government doesn't do it that way, but we need to, because this is why we always spend more money every year and never have enough money for the important things. So we're going to go to what's called zero-based budgeting, but that's a fancy word for how business owners budget.
It's been obvious from the climate we've seen that voters are ready for something different, and we've seen candidates, including yourself, being labeled as the outside, the norm for government. But if elected, how will you be able to work with those that are entrenched in the system? In other words, if elected, how can you guarantee you're going to be able to get in there and get things done?
Well, you know, the way you get things done is to work with people who can help you put pressure on the status quo. That's how I went from secretary to CEO. I challenged the status quo and worked with people who could help me solve festering problems. In this case, it's small business owners and citizens who are going to help me, because we know that politicians respond to pressure. And so I'm going to go into the Oval Office each and every week, and I'm going to ask everybody to take out their smartphones. So I will ask people, do you think we should go to that 20-year-old plan to radically simplify the tax code from 73,000 to 3? Take out your smartphones and press 1 for yes, 2 for no. You see, it turns out there actually is an app to engage citizens in the process of their government, and we need to return to a citizen government, because we have this professional political class that's been there forever that actually cares more about its own position and privilege than on getting anything done. That's what 80% of the American people believe, and I agree with them. So, when citizens put pressure on the political process moves, and we have loads of proof points for that. So, small business owners, you have a big stake in this economy, a big stake in this nation. I'm going to ask you, take out your smartphones, press 1 for yes, 2 for no.
We here in New Hampshire, we're at the end of the energy pipeline, and it's one of the top reasons businesses give that they struggle. What would an energy policy look like under your administration, and how will it alleviate that?
Well, we need to be the global energy powerhouse of the 21st century. We need to be the global energy powerhouse of the 21st century. We have the resources, we have the know-how, we have the ingenuity, we have the technology. Guess what is standing in our way? Our own government. That's what's standing in our way. So our own government is destroying our coal industry, not because it helps the environment, it actually doesn't, but because of ideology. Our own government refuses to allow our oil companies to export oil, even though our oil is cleaner, burning. But the bad guys get to export oil. That makes no sense at all. Our government is standing in the way of the Keystone Pipeline. Our government, in other words, is preventing us from becoming the global energy powerhouse of the 21st century. And when we become that powerhouse under a Fiorina administration, not only does it create millions of jobs, not only does it lower the cost of energy for middle-class families and businesses here in New Hampshire and around the country, by the way, for people around the world as well, it also takes away power from the bad guys. Russia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, they gain their power from exporting energy.
Well, thank you so much for your time
Thanks,
today.
man.
We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
This has been your B&H Spotlight.